On the Stick After Dark has started. Probably.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm here with Joe.
Oh man, I don't have anything clever to say right here. I was gonna do some bogus Russian accent, but I don't have it in me.
Something
tonight.
about a moose and a squirrel.
Yes,
We've
this
also
is the
got-
this game in which you hunt down moose and squirrel.
Something about bullethell you.
Mike is also here hanging out.
Yes, I am. Thankfully, Joe lowered the bar so far that I don't have to say anything clever.
Yep. That's what I'm
Kurt
here
is
for.
also here, although he's having some echoing issues, so I don't know if he'll just be popping in and out or if he's actually here or not. So
I mean, more
He's
Kurt's
here.
better
Also
than less
has
I'm
yeah,
Happy
well,
New
he-
Year, everybody.
Hey, there he
Say
is.
what's up. All right, so this is our continuation of our Christmas Festivus gift exchange.
We only got halfway through before Christmas came and went.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because you get presents at Christmas, Mike, and then you play with them after Christmas.
Right,
Good
or
point.
a month before Christmas, also.
It's weird that we didn't think of that. All right.
I mean, we did 3 weeks in a row, and then actual Christmas week, nobody's around except for me, I think. So, anyway.
Wow, it's really
Oh, no,
cool
Mike-
that this
Mike
ad
stopped
is
by,
playing
and we
sound
can
even though I've muted it.
suck
That's
the
awesome.
tall. Yeah, well,
Thanks,
this is not being
Twitch.
streamed, so who fucking
Yeah.
cares? Anyway, so this is the game Joe sent to me. It is the Red Star. It is a PlayStation 2 game that came out in 2007.
What was
which-
done in like 2005 or
2004.
2004?
It was supposed to come out in 2004. It got caught in the Acclaim bankruptcy. So
Right.
it came out on a demo disc in 2004, but then wasn't released for a couple of years after that.
Also, it's really cool.
All right, so I'm gonna
is
start.
really cool.
I have a game in progress that I'm like maybe 3/4 of the way finished with, but I'm gonna start a new game. And try the other character, and then we'll flip over to that other save that's near the end of the game. Also, apparently, this game has a co-op mode, which
It does.
Totally does.
seems-
It's
this-
very hard
this
to
definitely
co-op.
seems like a game that would be more fun in co-op. Also, there's a secret third character that I have not unlocked because I didn't finish the game yet.
I don't know if I would say it's more fun. It gets to be very difficult in co-op.
Hard to.
It's a pretty
keep track.
demanding
Yeah,
game.
My original save game is at chapter 15, which is where I stalled out because I was playing with my former roommate, who may be watching this, if you're watching this, hi Rich. And unfortunately, sorry Rich, he wasn't super great at the game, so basically like we hit a brick wall, and the one frustrating thing, well, two frustrating things about this game is one, you can't change characters once you've picked, so you're committed to whoever you pick at the beginning to play through the rest of the game.
Mhm.
So
And
you
it's like
can't
a
be
several
like
hour game, right? It's not
Right.
like a 90-minute game.
right. It's not like it's a beat 'em up, but it's not like Ninja Turtles where it's like if you picked Raph at the beginning, you're only stuck in playing Raph for 30 minutes, and then you,
What's a
you know what I mean?
beat 'em up mixed with like some weird bullet hell overhead.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a run and gun and a beat 'em up and a bit of a bullet hell, and there's a part where it turns into like a Life Force style scrolling shooter for like a stage. But yeah, you can't change characters midstream, and once you start a game, there is no drop in drop. It's not even drop in drop out.
That's just a co-op game.
It's just like literally like you're playing two players and that's it. You're playing two players, or you start over in single player, which is kind of frustrating. Which is why I stalled out at chapter 15, which is like pretty close to the end.
Holy
so.
crap! This guy is huge compared to the other characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like
massive.
3 times bigger than.
And
Are
his
there
like
only 2
dash
characters, or
attack.
is it-
There's a third
There's
character that's
a
locked.
third that's locked. But his dash move, like, so she can't really grapple. That's one thing that I don't love about this game is like I always really like cool throw attacks, and she can't grapple, but he kind of can because his forward dash attack skewers enemies, and you can kind of carry them around and then toss them off the side of the stage. Which is cool. That's the thing I do like about this game. You toss dudes off the stage all over the place. So this game this game was, I feel like, made explicitly for me. Plays like an old school brawler, and it has a sort of rudimentary upgrade system where you can get different guns, you can upgrade those guns, and you can upgrade your cooldown time and all that stuff. But between its elements of shootery stuff and of punchy stuff. It just really, and it's really well executed. As far as 3D beat 'em ups go, it's one of the
It
best.
doesn't suck, so that puts it pretty far ahead of most of the competition in the era in which it was supposed to have been released. Although by the time it came out, I don't think people were even trying to do that anymore so much. It wasn't until like you would see them like pop back up on the Xbox Live Arcade like 4 or 5 years down the road. But
Yeah,
Those were mostly
this
2D
is-
games.
Yeah, Castle Crashers is
yeah, there were
2D.
some.
Scott Pilgrim, Castle Crashers.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that came out. There were some other.
That game sucks, dude.
I didn't
That
say
game
they
is
were
awful.
good. I just said people weren't really trying. Like, that was the thing that popped up a lot in the PlayStation and early PlayStation 2 era, and then they sort of disappeared.
Even then, they're pretty few and far between. Like, I can't think of a lot of 3D, really, like, real brawlers, you know? You had, like, in the PS1 era, you had, like, Fighting Force, which is not very good, and Fighting Force 2. I don't know. I can't really think of many other. You had Die Hard Arcade.
Mm-hmm. There was some other ones,
which is
but I can't
fun.
think of them offhand.
Yeah, and
Like
then
I
you
said,
had
it was like a thing that
Zombie Revenge.
actually this is a bad idea, and so everybody kind of stopped doing it.
Yeah, but if they played the Red Star, they'd know it's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's just badly executed in
It's
a lot of
just,
cases.
it's just hard to do, maybe. I don't know. This game is cool. I'm not sure why there aren't more cool games like it.
What is really interesting is that it seems like Acclaim waited until they were out of business to actually put out like a game that was pretty
Well, they were,
roundly good.
Yeah, I mean they had been in trouble for many years before. There was a bunch of games that got caught up in that. Like I think was Psychonauts part of that? Was that one of the games?
Maybe.
I'm trying to think. There were some other games that got like caught in that weird limbo while Acclaim was going out of business.
Yeah, and this one is apparently a licensed game too, which is like Acclaim's bread and butter was like bad licensed games, but
It's
this
based
one
on a
turned out.
comic book
I don't.
series?
Yeah, it's
Have you
based on
ever
a comic, but I don't know anything about the comic.
Anything about it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
But yeah, so now you can see, like, you saw the brawler kind of part, and then this is like
Shooter
these-
/ bullet head, bullet hell.
bullet hell kind of a thing. Like they get when you get farther into the game, they become like really fucking complicated.
It's a hard game.
Yeah.
It's pretty friendly for the first, I don't know, like 10-ish chapters, but
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I didn't die until like chapter 11 or 12, and then in chapter 14 I died several times.
I remember getting into a really brutal, like, crate maze. It's kind of like a forced scrolling, like,
I think
vertical
I just
stage.
beat that might have been chapter 14.
So I got
Yeah,
that far
it's-
with my friend playing in co-op, and we couldn't get past it together. I think it would have been easier if I was just by myself, but as Joe pointed
Well,
out, I would have had to have a separate game.
Right, and the difficulty scales too, I believe in co-op.
Yeah,
so
but that was
like,
more
you
of
get
a
more
trap
enemies
situation.
and more. So you can't even like, but like I remember trying like, I'll resume my 2-player save and just like let him die off, and then I'll try to like do it myself, and it's like it's scaled for 2 people, so you're just totally overwhelmed. So
Yeah,
Well,
then,
maybe I
like,
could've
having to
done that
replay
for
that 3 or 4 hours. Is not... Like this game is pretty good, but I think that it's maybe a little too simple. Like there was definitely parts where I was feeling pretty fatigued from just doing the same combos. Like there's even like the moveset in this is even more limited than something like Streets of Rage 2 or whatever.
I don't
Because there's
I
not
don't know
really
about that.
like there's like some kind of dash moves that you can do, but there's not. You can't do like grapples or.
No, you can't really do grapples, but you have different combos, and like the girl you can
There's not
play.
a lot of different combos.
I think
Oh,
what
sure.
makes the game interesting is the stage design is constantly switching between different modes of play,
Yeah.
and I think especially when the game came out, that was really surprising.
Right,
I
and you have some
remember
enemies with guns, and some enemies you can't shoot because they're shielded, and so you have to melee them.
And
And
then all of a sudden there's a giant tank and you're in like top-down bullet hell mode, or
Yeah, that's what keeps you interested.
like a flying shooter kind of thing. Like I just remember being really surprised at a couple of different times when I played this game, but that was 10 years ago.
There's
And especially
there's
since
a
it was a-
dope-ass boss fight against a giant skull face guy.
yeah, and it was a budget title when it came out.
Oh yeah, it was 20 or 30 bucks when I bought it.
So, yeah. And I grabbed it up right away. I think I actually don't think the price has moved very much at all. I think I paid about $20 for this copy that I sent Eric, so I think it's retained its value. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a little more fun to play co-op but again, when you get to the higher stages, it's kind of frustrating, or can be. But yeah, it's a very unique game, and except for those couple of flaws, like not being able to change between 1 and 2 players once you're deep into the game, and not being able to switch characters to sort of figure it out. I think it's really the core gameplay of it is really enjoyable. I think. And you're right, Eric. I mean, it is a little simple, even by the standards of the time, but I think the way it mixes and matches the gameplay, like Mike was saying, is really sort of the saving
Pretty cool,
grace.
yeah. So the problem is, like, by the time this came out, we were pretty deep into, like, the Ninja... I want to say, wasn't Ninja Gaiden the Gaiden game out? And Devil May Cry...
2005, I want to say.
Oh,
Devil May Cry
Yeah.
has been out, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
we
but it
had
come
the
out when it was supposed
third-person
to.
character action games that were
it's like
way
6
deeper
years
content,
behind.
so, yeah.
When does Devil May Cry? Was like 2001 or something?
Yeah, 2002 maybe.
That sounds about right.
So like even when this game was supposed to ship, it was kind of after that bust. But again, I don't think they weren't trying to win awards for having the depth of those games.
Right, and again, I mean, none of those games have co-op or anything, right? Like, Devil May Cry is a firmly single-player experience. And Ninja Gaiden.
And this game is actually
Also, this game is not as hard as Ninja Gaiden. Like, I don't really like the Xbox Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah.
I think they're like a little too hard to be fun.
I only ever played whichever one was the Xbox 360 one. I thought it was pretty good. I like the Devil May Cry games more than that.
Yeah, definitely.
This guy with his 2 kinds of chainsaw.
Yeah,
One is a rotary saw, Mike.
the circular
Please.
saw.
A circular saw.
2 kinds of wood cutting saw.
I mean, he is a heavy guardsman. Can this guy not?
He
Can I
is.
not do the backflip with this dude?
He is 7, a heavy guardsman. No, I don't think he can dodge.
Because
as well as she can.
the girl has a backflip.
Right, and I think a nice touch with her is that her melee weapons are a hammer and sickle.
Yes. She has better guns, doesn't she? Or is it the opposite?
She has like a spread gun and one
She's
that
a
shoots...
spread gun and a shotgun, and her double,
I
like,
didn't unlock the third
Uzis.
gun with her yet, so...
It's a shotgun.
I
So
wasn't
you have to be
entirely
close
clear-
range, and it's kind of useless on, like, depending on what you're
Yeah,
shooting.
I wasn't... The upgrade tree is not super clear on what each of the guns is. Like, I didn't realize I was buying a second gun. Or I just would have...
Right.
I would have just upgraded my main gun instead of spending money on buying new weapons that... Like, it just seemed like the first gun had better range, and so it would have just been better for me if I had a stronger version of that.
Yeah, the second gun, the spread gun, is, like, useful when fighting certain enemy arrangements, or some bosses that have, like, turrets on either side of the weak point and stuff. Like, it's
I
decent
really like
for
this
that. but-
menu music. I think it's really good. Like this between missions
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, the music's pretty decent. And I think this is on PlayStation Network as a PS3 download.
Is it?
Oh, maybe.
I believe
I
so.
don't. So I'm playing this on PCSX too. I have as you can probably tell, I have the resolution bumped up to
Yeah.
4 times.
Do you have the
I
disc
think.
in your computer drive? Or are you playing it off the
No,
disc?
I
or-
just have it. I have an ISO because it's.
You can get this as a PS2 classic for $9.99, or you
Cool.
can get it on your PSP or Vita for $50.
Yeah, the PSP version it actually came out on PSP on a UMD, I think, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So anyway, I was gonna say, but it runs really, really well on PCSX too. I haven't run
And then
into any
despite the
problems.
fact
There was
that it
one-
came out-
I had to tweak the settings a little bit because I had some weird red bars on the screen at first, but once I got that squared away, it runs really nice. The frame rate's real nice, and I think it looks pretty good. Like, it's definitely one of those games that
It's got a good
text-
aesthetic.
yeah, and like the texture work is simple enough so that way when you scale it up, it still
Yeah,
looks
it
pretty
doesn't-
sharp for the most part. So
Yeah. Yep. So interestingly, Mike mentioned earlier that there was a demo. I think it was Mike, maybe it was Kurt. There was a demo for Xbox that came with like official Xbox magazine or whatever. But the full game never came out on the Xbox. Just the demo, which is weird. So
yeah, it does feel a little bit like mostly finished, and then there's some like edge stuff that definitely feels a little like every time like in the when you do the between mission story sequences, it's always that same portrait of that dude, and
It's
it
just
never
the drawing of a dude
changes or
talking at you.
animates in any way. Yeah, and it definitely felt like there might have been maybe more to the story than there is.
The story is also like almost impossible to follow, anyways. So it's just like,
Yeah.
When I was playing it last night, I just skipped. I just skipped all the story stuff.
I mean, for a property based on a existent, or for a game based on an existent property, which I assume has a pretty in-depth story. If there's been a bunch of comic books, then it seems a little.
Like, how big of a fan base do you suppose that comic has?
That I have no idea about. But I'm just saying that there's probably a little bit more to the story.
Yeah, there's a bunch of lore.
I'm sure if you were a fan of the comic, you might be able to disappointed.
Picking up this game on the PlayStation Store has brought to my attention that both of the Suikoden games are on sale, the first two, so get on that.
Be careful with that second one because it doesn't work on something.
It doesn't work on PSP, I think?
Something like that, yeah. Because I bought it to play it on PSP and it doesn't work there. Which is very disappointing. I mean, all I have to do is I have like one of those Pandora batteries, so I could flash my PSP and turn it. For a long time, my PSP was just a PlayStation emulation device. I'd like dumped all my PlayStation games, and then eventually I wanted to play something and had to update it back to the good firmware. But I can always return it back to its roots as a homebrew / emulation device. And
I'll never be sad to own a Vita just because it's a really good way to play PlayStation 1 games on the go.
yeah. PSP is a great way to play PS1 games on the go. You just have to buy an old model and then futz around with it a little bit.
I don't know what the odds are of you finding one that isn't updated past the good firmware. Anyway, it's impossible to go back to the PSP screen after playing on a Vita.
Fair enough.
I don't even have the OLED one, but it's just a much nicer, bigger screen.
I was looking at Vitas this, so I've been thinking about my Game of the Year stuff quite a bit, like what my top 10 games are going to be, and we do our episode on that one. That is,
7 Vita games in your list.
No, but I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking a lot about Persona 5 and whether or not I actually want to finish it, and also where it ranks, because it's like a really hard game for me to like parse my feelings on. And then I just was thinking, man, I would love to play Persona 4 again. And how much is a Vita? And Vitas are still pretty expensive. I thought they would be super cheap, but they're still like $150.
Yeah, it's a cool enough device that it never kind of got into that super cheap spot. It might now that the Switch is out.
Maybe, yeah.
For a while, it was filling a niche that nothing else was really filling, like a dedicated gaming system that actually has a decent screen and is, somewhat modern. Now that the Switch is getting all the indie darlings, maybe by this time next year, people will be giving up on their Vita. I don't think they've made very many of them recently either, so I think that's why they're not.
I think they stopped making them last year, 2 years ago.
Did they really stop making them?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they stopped making them. But yeah, anyway, I like this game quite a bit. It definitely, to me, it really feels a lot like something that you would see on Steam for like 15 or 20 bucks. Like kind of a labor of love kind of a thing made by a small developer.
Yeah, like a small, like 3 people over 6 years or something like that.
Like we like brawlers, we like bullet hell games. We're gonna try and mix the two in this weird sort of futuristic Russian aesthetic, and it definitely it holds up pretty well. I feel like.
I don't want to get too off topic, but speaking of peanut butter and chocolate style gameplay mishmash, I just played through Actor again, and that game is super cool, and I can't believe that no studio has tried to make their own ActRaiser
Yeah.
It seems like a gimme.
It seems like something that should exist. I would buy one of those. That might get me to kickstart something actually, if it was made by somebody who had done something of note in the past. I might even consider throwing $20 or $25 at something like that.
And who would you want to make your ActRaiser like?
I don't What's the team that made Hyper Light Drifter?
Oh, hardly. I don't know. They would. I mean, that's interesting. They did a top-down action game.
Yeah.
I guess that's the reason why you couldn't do top-down action stages.
I mean, just like the art and music in that game is so good. The aesthetic and the I don't know. Anybody.
That would be one sad ActRaiser game.
I mean, ActRaiser itself is kind of sad,
little bit.
especially at the beginning. Like,
Especially at the end, where you get to the end of like, well, people don't need us anymore.
Bye.
yeah, the lesson is that once society is advanced to a certain point, they don't need religion anymore. That's less morose than Quintet's other games,
I suppose.
I understand. Like, which game? Which is it? Soul Blazer that has like the whole race of people who only live for like a month and they race snails and like so that most of their life is spent racing.
That sounds like something from one of those games. I haven't played Soul Blazer.
Could be from the other. What's the other one? Terranigma.
I think
Well,
it
or
might be
Illusion
Terra.
of
It's
Gaia.
definitely not Illusion of Gaia. I don't think. Illusion of Gaia has like all the. Illusion of Gaia is definitely a very like wistful kind of feeling to it, which is one of the reasons why it sort of stands out amongst Super Nintendo games.
I like that this boss is called Contra Wall, by the way.
There's a whole bunch of Contra Walls. There's another boss
This is
in this
Control
game.
1.
There's another boss in this game that has a name that is like a very obvious reference to another famous video game thing, but now I can't remember.
It involves shooting the core.
I should have, because it was also really good. It was like these guys are not making any bones about the sort of games that they're inspired by.
Right, in case you couldn't tell. You're not using your super at all.
Oh yeah, the girl super sucks kind of. So
It's really good for crowd control and for breaking shields.
I don't
and,
I
like
feel
you
like,
build it up
yeah,
so quickly
I guess it's okay
that
for shields. The problem I had is that the range on it is so small that it didn't seem super useful for.
if you can get you can sort of like kite a bunch of enemies together and use it and do a pretty decent amount of damage to like. Also, on some bosses, if you can get close to their weak point, it does a ton of damage to some bosses.
This guy's gun is way better than her gun. It also
There's
seems like
apparently
his.
a boss called the Psycho Crusher.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that was the other one. But like this guy's like her lock-on range is much shorter than his is.
For shooting or for
Well, just like the
dash- the
distance
dash
you can
attack.
be from enemies to lock on with her.
oh
gun.
to lock on? Yeah,
I think she makes up for that by just being so much more agile.
She has like
Yeah.
a backflip and she has like a dash and other stuff. Like I said, I'm gonna flip over eventually. Let's see here.
I like how like 90% of the brawler enemies you just knock off the world.
That becomes less prevalent later in the game, but let's.
Yeah, they start building walls. They figure out how walls work.
Contra walls.
Yes, Contra walls.
They psycho crush some stones and turn it into mortar.
You say that you're standing in the shadow of mortar?
My God.
Sorry, Anthony's
All
not
right,
here.
well that's the end of the
Just
stream.
doing my part.
We'll be back next week with.
Speaking of
who
Anthony-
still has to go. Just
Anthony, isn't it?
No, he went
Did
first.
He went first.
I have to
Who
go.
did he
Kurt needs to
give?
go, but he gave his-
Anthony gave to me.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
What about coffee?
and Coffee still needs to go. So
Who gave to Coffee?
I did.
You did.
Yes. So this is mission 14. This is quite a bit. As you can see, like I was kind of just like sleepwalking through that. This is where it actually starts to get pretty difficult. Unfortunately, I don't think I can load up previous missions, or I would do the giant head boss, which is definitely one of the cooler things that I saw. But you see, like I also accidentally bought this other weapon. She had a sickle and a hammer before, and I have this weird hatchet thing.
You just wave her hatchet around like that.
Yeah.
She waves the sickle around too if you're just like tapping square when you're standing.
So she has that combo. She has these double guns. I bought this other gun, which is like a two-way spread gun. But
I think that she's more fun than the other guy just because he's so slow.
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, so like she can do this like these dash moves and these combos. You can also like, oops, you can.
She has a launcher thing too.
Yeah,
where you, like,
it's hard to
launch
tell from this
people
angle, but
up.
yeah, you can launch them up in the air and then do like an air juggle, and then you can combo that farther to do either like do a ground slam move, or you can do a move that slows them. So you can kind of like juggle them up into the air and then like try to like, knock them off platforms and stuff. That's what I found myself doing most of the time, because that like if you do like a 3-hit combo into an air juggle into another 3-hit combo and then a ground slam, it kills most things. But here you can see like the bullet patterns are much more difficult
Yeah.
to deal with. And also they start throwing like regular enemies in where you're trying to
While
dodge
you're
shit,
trying to
so-
do that. I mean, it's not Ikaruga or anything, but like it's
but I mean, you know, it's also like the controls are a little bit different than the shooter, so
right. Well, the lock-on helps too, right? It's easier to lock on and avoid bullets than it is to like line your ship up and dodge bullets.
yeah, for sure.
That way. And usually, like what you just did, like once you destroy one thing when you're in a boss or mini boss fight like this, like then it becomes way easier.
So I've had a few
The other thing.
that they actually like when you get them down, they like either change the pattern or they start firing faster. And so sometimes it, like getting them down to like one cannon actually makes it a little bit more difficult.
I think I just rolled over once the boss is dead.
Yeah, the like cannon fodder enemies usually just croak when you kill
Also,
them.
all the bullets disappear, which is good.
Yes. Man, some of those games. There's like one game that I'm trying to think of right now where there's like a boss that like can kill you after it. Like, wow, what game is that? It's like an NES or a Super NES game where like you kill a boss and then like it does one more thing, and if you're standing too close to it, it can kill you.
There's
like,
a lot of games. Like, there's
Well, Rondo of Blood does that a lot.
yeah, Rondo Blood has that a bunch. There's quite a few Dark Souls bosses that do that trick also.
Desperation move.
Yeah.
Do they count as dead if you kill them and then they kill you?
I don't remember actually.
Dark Souls is such a big deal as to whether you killed them or not.
Yeah. Or maybe it's regular enemies. I don't know. I know that there are some bosses with regular enemies that will explode when you kill them or whatever. But anyway,
Super long health bars are a little bit annoying.
that's the red star. It's pretty cool. It might be a little bit longer than I want it to be, but and also like you can see there's a lot of room. Can I?
Don't forget that this comes from the time when games were long.
True.
Like, you know, back in the mid-2000s, you get
These
laughed
are
out
still
of.
long, dude.
Well, but they kind of dropped down and got shorter for a while, like in the Xbox and PlayStation 3 era, where like, I don't know. I guess that started in the PS2 era, but there was a time in the PS2 era where like every single player game had to be 25 hours long, and then they started making them on
really-
the opposite end of the scale.
Let me tell you about Nier Automata.
I was gonna say, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 5 and Zelda Breath of the Wild and even Mario Odyssey, like I don't even know.
No, but now we're back to forever games.
So
But I'm
this
s-
this boss specifically, I feel like it's more difficult the less enemies there are because the bullet patterns change and they like bunch up more.
Right.
So my strategy was when I finally the first time I beat it was to
Just damage
is
both
too-
sides equally.
yeah, this was now I'm trying to
This is
time it
brutal.
at the same time. It's not going so good. But that's the Overstriker. Anyway,
Having bad flashbacks to the birdhouse boss of Cuphead.
yeah, how's Cuphead going?
I was good. I haven't picked it up since I played it the last time. I got to the third area because last night I tried out Hollow Knight instead, which I thought was really, really cool. Although I can see what you mean that there just aren't enough fast travel points.
Yeah, it gets worse like when you get really, really deep into it. Unfortunately, it's still really, really good.
But it seems really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
how's that down thrust, man?
It's good, but it's technical. It's demanding.
Oh yeah, you can't just. I mean, you can spam it, but you have to time it properly.
Yeah, you can't just stick your sword out and hope for the best. You have to really. Like, when I first realized that there were, like, spike puzzles that I could get across by just doing that, I was like, oh, geez, okay. But, I mean, I've been playing, Metroidvania games off and on for years, and I like playing them, but very rarely are they actually really good. And so far, this one feels like it might be the first really good one that I've played in a long time.
That's good. I'm glad you liked it. I was a little worried, just because it definitely takes inspiration from Dark Souls in its tone, but also in the it just doesn't.
Little details.
Well, not just that, but it just doesn't. Like most Metroidvanias will at least kind of point you in the right direction at first, and a lot of times you just don't have a lot of options as to where you can go. And that game gives you like quite a few options right off the bat.
Yeah, it's super interesting what it does. We'll save that discussion for
Game
of the Year stuff. I have a feeling it'll come up in some form or other.
It's definitely probably going to be in my top 5, I think. Not to spoil it, but...
Spoilers.
Out of time, still ticking. You got a couple weeks left to decide.
It's true. It seems pretty unlikely that anything will... don't lock onto that guy. I wish that there was a way to change what enemies I'm locked onto.
Yeah, like a button just bump
Yeah.
who you're locked onto.
I mean, it's pretty good for a game that came out in 2007.
There's no option
It
like
was done
the
in
right stick or
2005
anything.
Right.
or whatever.
Like the fact that there's a functional lock-on at all is actually probably pretty impressive.
This was several years after Zelda Ocarina of Time, so
True.
don't give him too much credit.
Yeah, but just think of all the games that tried and failed to do that. Right? Like Z-targeting and how many shit fucking Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2 games that...
I didn't play very many of those, but I did play Shadow Man.
Oh my, I'm sorry.
Me too. Don't worry, Joe, I didn't play all of Shadow Man.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been doing the backflip very much, but she has a cool ass backflip you can do too. But I think
Is
this
this for evading, or is it like a guile kick?
I think it's just for evasive things. And also, you have a shield, but I found that it doesn't come up quite fast enough
Yeah,
to
the
really
shield
be
is-
useful. Like, it's usually better to just try and dodge stuff.
Like, if you can plan that far ahead, just move.
Yeah.
Well, every once in a while, maybe you just don't see a way through a bullet pattern.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just like hit it just for the shits and giggles. There's an enemy after. I'm probably not going to do it this time either, but that 4 cannon thing that I was just fighting with the really difficult bullet pattern. There's a guy right after that you basically have to tank 3 hits from him, and then he becomes vulnerable. But before then, he just counters you, and he also has a bullet shield, so you can't shoot him. So you have to like
Time your
bait him
shield.
into shooting you, and then block him, and then counter him. It's like that. It's like very much the punch-out guy, and then that was the guy that killed me just before we started. Actually, that's why I didn't finish this level, because I was not mentally prepared for that that boss.
You got some health leech going on. Did you upgrade your character to get health back from fighting?
Oh yeah, there's an option for that shit. I'm not gonna do this time either. Yeah, there's an option for that, which is health regen is one of the best options in pretty much any video game. Unfortunately, it's only on melee hits, so
Yeah.
And it would be kind of broken if it
was,
worked with your gun.
yeah, it would be too easy to just like step back and.
Vampire guns.
What about vampires with guns?
Less cool.
Vampire the Masquerade.
It's my favorite Final Fantasy VII character. Gun vampire.
Is he actually a vampire? I know he's in a coffin when you find him, but is he actually
More
a
of an
vampire?
experimental creature.
Yeah,
He's a bioweapon.
yeah, he's a vampire.
I mean, he can turn into Jason Voorhees with a chainsaw for one of his limit breaks, so, like,
yeah.
you know, it's a winner as far as I'm concerned. You can also turn into the final boss from Final Fantasy 1 for his like highest level.
You can
limit
turn into
break,
chaos.
so-
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's his final limit break as he turns into chaos.
Anyway, that's the Red Star. I like it quite a bit. It's definitely an interesting like curio from the past. Like I said, if this game came out on Steam today for $20 or a game very similar to this, it would fit right in with. Like it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be a game that would rocket to the top of people's Game of the Year list, but it'd be like a thing that you'd get in a humble bundle and sit down and fuck around with for a few hours for sure. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, next week
It definitely feels like the people that made this game had a really specific vision, and like they just went for it in a way that I really appreciate. You know, like we like these bullet hell shooters, and we like beat 'em ups, and we're gonna try and combine those into a thing. And they definitely like. I don't know if they nailed it 100%. Like I said, I would like to see some more options as far as the upgrade tree, and the fact that this is based on a comic book and. Like the in-game aesthetic is pretty good, but the between the cutscenes and stuff is all very static and kind of boring. So it definitely feels a little bit like they got like 85% of the way there, and then Acclaim started to have financial problems and it didn't quite get finished. But considering the absolute trash that was coming out of Acclaim and the
BMX
all of, I was gonna say at the end of Acclaim's run, but basically for all of the time that Acclaim existed, aside from
there's a handful of decent Acclaim. Most of the Acclaim's good games are just
games.
ports of they're ports of Midway arcade games.
Well, what a nice swan song then.
Yeah,
for sure. Anyway,
I don't want to oversell it, but it was a really nice surprise to play this game when it came out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
I
well,
said,
I mean,
wasn't
like
playing
you said,
games in
Mike,
2007 very much, so I missed it. But so I'm glad Joe sent it to me. And, like I think I'll give it a shot and see if I can finish it because I feel like I'm pretty close to the end. So.
Yeah, well, like Mike said, it's let's see. How much did you say the download? $9.99 on PS3.
Yeah.
Definitely worth $10.
Totally worth it.
I'm sure that during
if
the
you
sales,
have a PS3,
it's probably even cheaper. I'm sure this is one that goes for like $4 or $5 when they do because every once in a while they just like mark down huge swaths of old games on their service. So.
Yeah. Because for some dumbass dipshit reason, they still haven't made the PS4 like capable of playing PS1 and PS2 games, or it is capable of playing PS2 games because there are PS2 games on it, but like not all of them
only
are
the special ones.
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
And you'll note that I do not own a PS4.
Anyway, we'll be back next week with either Kurt's game or Coffee's game, I hope.
Look forward to it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yay.
Merry Christmas.
And technically, we're still in the 12 days of Christmas because the Epiphany is on the 6th, the 7th.
Oh, man, that's right. I'm going to get myself some tasty...
5 gold rings. 6...
I'm looking forward to the Piper's Piping myself.
What's 6? Is that...
6
turtle
seven...
Lords of Leaping?
No, 8 Lords... Wait, hang on.
6 Geesalang.
6 Geesalang, yes,
okay.
yes.
The important thing is that you get the delicious, like, almond paste cake thing that you're supposed to eat on the 6th of January.
Is that what the geese are laying?
I hope so. Man, give me some geese.
Is it like a marzipan cake?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. They're really good.
I don't know. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Yum.